what's up? This is Patrick. Welcome to episode 20 of the Double ETF podcast, Everything Except the Football. I hope you guys are doing great. Today is part 2 of my conversation with Mike Siegel, TV host, comedian, host of the Travel Tales podcast. So it was as good a conversation as part 1. There was some overlap with the previous episode, especially when it came to sports, but it gave us a chance to expand on that discussion a little bit. So it was worth it. I left it in. What else? Oh yeah, we had 2 new donations lately. Gotta say thank you to Ambags, friend of the show, former guest, twice actually. So thank you, Ambags. It's fantastic. And also Carly, second donation for Carly. So thank you very much. I really appreciate. And so if you guys want to be as awesome as Carly twice, Ambags, Nick, Josh, Kevin Wench, you can do so at paypal.me/EETFpod, or you can drop us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you want to reach us, there is Twitter at EETFpod or EETFpodcast@gmail.com. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we will talk again soon. Thanks. All right, so welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Mike Siegel. Welcome back, Mike.
Thank you. It's great to be back, and I'm sorry I talked so long the last time.
Don't be. Don't be.
I rambled on too much.
Au contraire.
Oh, merci.
Don't worry about it. I thought you covered a ton of very interesting bits of information that I never really connected together. Honestly, good stuff.
Okay.
All right. So in the first part, we covered travel and a few other things. But for the beginning of part 2, there were a few more specific questions that I wanted to ask. If that's okay, we can, take care of rapid fire questions if you want.
Okay.
All right. So travel-wise, what is your favorite place of all so far?
This is the hardest question I'm always asked. I don't know. It's hard to name favorites, but my short list, I'll always go back to Italy, Thailand, and a lot of those are food related.
Yeah,
those 2 answers.
Works.
So Italy and Thailand are always up there in terms of cities. London, Tokyo. Well, let's just go. Well, you know what? New York.
Okay,
sure,
that works.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Yes or no? Not yes or no, but A or B. Do you prefer solo travel or with someone else?
Well, the last 20 years, I've actually preferred solo, if only for the fact that I learned long ago that if you wait for someone to go with, the chances of going go way down.
True.
And I would not have seen most of the places I've seen if I had waited for someone to go with. So, and I'm a loner by nature, so I love the freedom of seeing exactly what I want when I want. But I realize that, I have to learn to get along with people. So going with somebody can be great, but it has to be the right person.
Yes.
That's it.
All right. Okay. Who is the most interesting person you've ever met traveling?
Oh my gosh. That's really good. I met a guy the guy that just jumped into my mind was, there's a Brit that lives in Croatia.
He's been on Travel Tales, right?
Yeah, he
that rings a bell.
Paul. Anyway, he runs the Total Croatian News website. He's an Englishman who had been around the world. He just kind of left his home and went to Rwanda after the genocide and worked in there. And he lived in Russia for a while. And yeah, he was amazing. And this guy, Alex Robinson, who was a photographer, a Brit who married a Brazilian, and he lives in Brazil now, but really fascinating guy. He had been kidnapped in Brazil in the jungles. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. And then also a friend of mine who I climbed Kilimanjaro with, who I just interviewed last year in Medellin, Colombia. He runs a brew pub now in Medellin, an American guy, but he had lived for a year at the South Pole.
Jesus.
At the Amundsen Scott Station in the South Pole. And he had amazing stories.
He's been on Travel Tales as well, right?
Yeah.
Because I forgot the name, but I remember listening to that one.
Yeah. And so those are a few that jump to mind.
All right. Okay, next one. What was, and I mean, you don't have to answer that question, but what was your most embarrassing moment while traveling?
While traveling?
Yes.
Ooh, embarrassing. Oh, boy. Let me come back to that one. I'm going to think about that.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll move on in the speed round. Okay.
No problem.
Embarrassing. Okay, I'll think about that.
Well, I mean, honestly, if I could think of one for myself, I don't think I would talk about it because it's embarrassing.
I know.
You know?
I have one.
Okay.
I have a pretty strong stomach.
Okay.
And I've eaten everything around. I'll eat street food in Cambodia, and I've never really gotten sick on the road, food poisoning or anything like that. But 2 weeks in India took me down, and I was on a trip with about 10 other people. No, there's 12 of us in the group, and in that 2 weeks, 10 of us got sick. But every morning you didn't know who it was going to be. It was like Russian roulette. It's like, who's it going to be today?
Jesus.
And I made it about a week and a half. And it's very common to get sick in India. You know, people get food poisoning all the time. But I thought I was going to make it. I was really careful.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was Christmas night. We were in Udaipur, and we went out for dinner, and then we're walking back, and I'm thinking, well, I think I'm just going to have, just some bread. and then the night went on. I was like, I'm going to walk back to the hotel. And I had the worst night of my life. Just,
Jesus.
I've never thrown up like that. You hear like the term projectile vomiting.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
And seriously, I could have been across the room and hit the toilet with vomit. It was unbelievable. And people down the hall heard me. It's like I was shouting and screaming at the toilet. Ah! Ah! Oh. And to a person, everybody was coming and knocking on my door the next morning. Hey, just checking on you, seeing if you're all right. Oh, wow. It was so bad. It was so bad.
So what did you eat? Do you know?
You can never, since it was always different times and everybody got sick, we couldn't pinpoint it to one place. And I mean, no matter how careful I had nothing but bottled water and beer. That's all I drank.
Okay.
I didn't eat meat the whole time. I didn't eat fresh fruit or anything like that. But it could be a drop of water on the plate. It could be
that's true.
The chef not washing his hands. You don't know.
That's true.
And so I never could pinpoint it, but it was so bad, so bad.
At least you weren't the only one in that situation.
Oh, no. The very first day we were on a bus, and one woman, this English woman, we had to pull over the bus. So she had to go
in the bushes.
In the bushes, yeah. And it was bad. Soiled herself. God. We had to in a bus full, in a tour group that she had just met, we had to go get her clothes so she could change her. It was horrible.
Oh my God.
And I was like, as bad as mine was, at least I was indoors and was
by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank God the next day we weren't traveling. If I had to be on a bus all day the next day, I think I would have lost it again. But, and then I had to sit, it was Boxing Day, and I had to sit in the hotel all day, just lying there. And they had 4 channels on television, and 3 of them cricket, nothing but cricket.
Oh my God!
And
wow.
India loves cricket. I mean,
yes.
they're obsessed about it. But man, if you want to get some sleep, I recommend cricket.
Yeah, that's a ticket. Absolutely.
I've given cricket many tries, but I can't get into it. I can't.
No, yeah, same.
Oof.
So you mentioned the Russian roulette. It was more like gushing roulette, right?
Hey-o.
Yeah.
Hello.
Check this out.
Nice. Yeah. That's good.
Yes. Okay, so next question. What is the best piece of travel advice you've ever received?
Pack your patience.
Yeah, that's nice.
Especially Westerners, and certainly Americans. We want things and we want them now. And the worst is you expect them now.
Yes.
And the world just doesn't work that way.
Absolutely.
Much of the world, it's just I know you want the bus now. I know the schedule says the bus is going to be here at 2, but this is Africa, and you might want to sit down and get comfortable. Yeah. And so just stuff like things are never going to work out the way you think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And have a plan, but have a loose plan and be open to that plan changing.
Yep.
Those are some good advice that I got.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's excellent. And now at the other end of the spectrum, what is the worst piece of travel advice you've ever received?
The worst piece of travel advice. Go to Florida. No. The worst piece of travel advice. Pack heavily.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a bad one. You know, check a bag when you can. No, don't ever check a bag if you can help it. People way overpack. You'll notice that seasoned travelers rarely do anything but carry on, because you realize that with few exceptions, you can get anything you need wherever you're going. I mean, how many you need to pack 50 t-shirts? Gee, where are you going to find a t-shirt around the world?
Yeah.
You know, or like, you know, electronic stuff. I mean, yeah, some things you can't replace, like, you know, medicines or something like that's hard, but everything else, you know, you can get toothpaste anywhere. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat out, you know, that kind of stuff.
That's true.
Clothes is the first thing people really think they need more of, and then they'll come back from a trip and realize they didn't wear half of it. They didn't need to bring half of it, and yeah, that kind of thing. The hardest thing is shoes. That takes up the most weight and space.
Yes. Yep.
And you know, so it depends on what you have to do. That was a good advice. Wear your biggest, clunkiest shoes onto the plane.
And clothes in general, like, you know, your heavy jeans, wear them on the plane, not in your suitcase.
Yeah, I'm always amazed these guys who get on with flip flops, you know, and just like, what are you doing? Are you going right from the plane to the beach? It's just, and no one wants to see your feet, and the bathrooms are disgusting, and the people barefoot on the plane. It's the most disgusting thing.
I really wish they would enforce plane etiquette, you know, because it is, like, you know, it's often teenage girls or something, like, you know, walking around barefoot and like curling up on the seat and then leaning their feet on the seat in front of them.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's fucking gross. Oh, God. Okay, anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Do you know how many countries you visited?
I'm about 92 now.
Wow.
And I think
I'm a lightweight.
well, I mean, I've been at it a while, but also, you know, a lot of it was for work too. And in the last few years of doing these cruises, knocked out a lot of those little Caribbean countries. True. I mean, but yeah, no, there was a lot. I was wanted to hit 100 last year, but we all know what happened there. Yes. So hopefully in the next couple years, I got about a dozen left that I really, really want to see.
Okay.
I have a bucket list, as it were. But
well, yeah, actually, it was one of the questions. What top 3 is on your travel bucket list? It could be cities or countries or regions.
Countries would be Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't been. Mainland China. I've been to Hong Kong and Taiwan, so I don't count that going to China. That's like China light. You know, I mean, so mainland China and Galapagos.
Huh.
Nepal, I still haven't been. Chile, yeah, those are big. Russia, I haven't been to Russia.
Okay,
and that would pretty much, you know, the main places in Europe that I wanted to go. Russia was kind of the last one, and Iceland.
Most of them should be feasible when when this is over. So
when they open up, and I wanted to go to the North Island of Japan. That I've been to Tokyo and like, what's the other town there? Oh my God, my brain is. Kyoto.
Yeah. Okay.
And but I haven't been to the north. I had a whole plan to go last year skiing up north, and I was going to go to the cherry blossoms, go see the cherry blossoms, and I was going to go to a baseball game. I had it all worked out.
Yeah.
But yep, then COVID canceled that. But those are the main ones. And then there's things like Sri Lanka and the Maldives, and I want to go scuba diving in Palau, which I've never been. Yeah, so the Galapagos is a big one. I really want to get down there.
Fingers crossed and knocking on wood.
Yeah.
Knocking on wood. All right, so next up. Okay, so in all your travels, what is the weirdest thing you've seen?
Oh, my God.
There must have been something that like, holy shit. If I tell people about it, they won't believe me.
Oh, boy.
We can go back to it in a few minutes at the end of the quickfire questions.
Yeah, okay, go back to it. Give me a minute on that.
Okay. So next up, what is the most interesting thing you've seen while traveling?
I think the interesting thing I mean, the obvious question would be the people that you meet around the world. I mean, everybody's got a story. I mean, there are sites that humble you when you see them in terms of like the history of it. Places like, I don't know, like Petra and Jordan and things like that, but the cities built into the sand and the mountains and the ancient civilizations. Yes, what humbled me? Yeah, nature always seems to humble me. How about like a rainforest? How like the Amazon? Just the scope of it and the size of it, and it's like another planet. And the Antarctica as well. The silence of it. I mean, that's what really hits you down there. It's like there's no people, nothing, no civilization, no towns, no city lights, no noise, no. I mean, you can hear like the ice hitting each other, icebergs like bumping into each other, and crunching up the side of the boat. The ship,
Wow.
that kind of thing. It's pretty amazing. That kind of it's very humbling in realizing how small
We are. Yeah,
in things.
that's true.
Yeah.
We will be gone soon, but all this will stay for
It'll shake us off.
thousands of years.
We will have put our mark on it, probably in a negative way, but then, in a million years, who knows what's crawling on this earth and around our plastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. While traveling, what has surprised you about yourself the most?
The first trip I took was out of university over to Europe, doing the 6-week backpacking thing around. But I had never traveled alone. I even went there with friends, and then we split up every once in a while. And then I met all these people in hostels. They were, I'm traveling the world by myself, and I was like, wow, you can do that? I guess you can. And then I started doing little things, little trips away from my friends, alone. And then I realized, oh, this is doable.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of surprised myself. I didn't think I was I didn't think I was independent that way. I could do it. And then I got back, and then, I don't know, 6 months later, I tried stand-up for the first time.
You think both could be related?
I think confidence. I don't think I had a lot of confidence in myself to do it.
Okay.
And I don't know if I could have had that confidence if I didn't know I could. And then that gave me confidence to, as a comic, you're always traveling alone. And then I realized, wait a minute, I could just book another trip all by myself. And that's when I went to Australia by myself. And then I was, oh, this is doable. And so, I don't know, I found out, and it was like, what about going to a place with a different language by myself? Could I do that? And then I went to Brazil or something, and just like, oh yeah, I could, it's doable. And each time I went to a place, I kind of surprised myself that I was worried about more than I was always worried about more than I should have. And that I would surprise myself in what I could handle and what I couldn't, and that kind of thing. So I think travel taught me that I could, I'm stronger and more, I don't know, what's the word? I can handle situations that...
Like a self-sufficient kind of.
That if you told me 20 years ago, hey, you're going to be lost in Brazil in the middle of the night and you can't get home, and how are you going to make it? And it's like, you would have told me that in college, I'd be like, oh my God, I'd probably be dead. I'd be dead. And now it's like, you know what? I'll figure it out. And when I hear people here afraid to travel even domestically alone, I mean, you have a cell phone. What's the worst that could happen? You get lost for a little bit, or just, I know.
And besides common sense, like, don't walk down dark alleys. That's obvious. Besides the obvious, I mean, what could happen?
Yeah, I was afraid of moving to New York. I went to a medium-sized state college because I was afraid to go to the bigger one because I thought it'd be too big in Illinois. I mean, that was in high school. I mean, just looking back in there, I was like, oh my God, that was laughable how afraid I was. I guess we all are. I mean, it's just a matter of growing, but it did teach me how to handle things and not freak out, and and deal with others and respect others, I think.
Okay, yeah, that works. Okay, the next one might take a few seconds to think about it. What is the most creative travel scam you've seen?
Travel scam?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
Wow.
we know about a few, the obvious ones, but is there one? There might not be one, but is there one that jumped into your mind and you were like, "Huh, that's good. That's good."
Travel scam. There were well, there was a couple places. I think they were in Europe. Maybe it was in Istanbul, and these guys would go to these bars where a lot of like young tourists are hanging out. They go to pubs and they meet some guys and they befriend them and they're like, "Hey, let's go to a club and you want to meet some girls?" And
Mhm.
and of course these guys would follow them there, and they get there and they order a round of beers and some girls are walking around, and then the bill comes, and the bill is like
$500.
$300. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, what? And I'm like, that's it. That's the bill. You got a credit card on you? Or you got, we're going to get the money somehow.
Yes.
And these guys would find themselves, I thought we were just having a good time. Like, no. No. But I mean, these guys were very good about being friendly and
Good actors.
yeah. And they just, yeah. And the bars were in on it. The women were in
Yep.
on it, and everybody got a piece.
Yep.
And they would just lure unsuspecting tourists into these bars. And then when the bill comes and you can't pay it, maybe we should all go to the ATM then. And,
Yes.
and like, we'll escort you over there and that kind of thing. And that was a pretty good one.
I think it was like in was it in Romania or Bulgaria? That was a thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Especially.
I remember in Eastern Europe it was a pretty common thing. Yeah, that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So next one. To you, what is the difference between a traveler and a tourist?
A traveler, when I think of a traveler, I think of someone who makes it a priority in their lives and who goes a little deeper when they go to a place. A tourist is kind of there to have a good time and take a few photos and just scrape the surface kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think they see travel as a real way of life. It's just something as a distraction for a couple weeks, and that's fine, I guess. But a traveler, yeah, I think they're more of a seeker. I think I think curiosity is the main difference.
Yes, yeah. That's everything in one word, I think.
Yeah.
For that question. Yeah.
I think curiosity is probably the biggest difference.
Good shout. Okay, next question. What is the best street food you've ever had?
Well, yeah, I'll always go with Thailand. When it comes to that, Thailand, you could just stumble in to a place, and I've eaten stuff off a cart with somebody just sitting there on the side of the road, and I'll order something and I'd eat it and just like, oh, it's cost like $1, and I said I would pay $30 for this back home, and I probably have in LA or something. So yeah, I'll eat anything. They just have a knack for making just the simplest thing taste good. I mean, I was on a canoe trip in northern Thailand, and our guide, it was just him and another guy. They built stuff they just made a campfire, and they just whipped something together for like 10 of us in about 25 minutes. And I went, oh my God, this is incredible. You just did this. It's just like, where did you learn to do this? It's like, our families, we all just do this. I'm like, oh my God, I'm never leaving this place.
Jesus.
It's so good. Yeah. So I would say Thailand. It's hard to go wrong there.
All right. Next one. What is the most challenging thing you've done while traveling?
I would say Kilimanjaro. I mean, that one, the first one that comes to mind. I mean, that was physically probably the hardest thing I did. And I've done some I've done mountain climbing, I've done bungee jumping, I've done skydiving and rock climbing and things like that. But the Kilimanjaro climb was pretty hard. It's not in the distance, it's the altitude, which really gets you.
I think it's, I'm not sure, but I think it's high enough for some people to get oxygen sickness or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. People get altitude sickness all the time, and people.
Oxygen.
Jesus. Well, people die up there all the time. You don't really hear about it that much, but I think someone died when we were there. I mean, they were taking the body down.
Wow.
Some like Korean guy in his 50s went.
In your group or
no.
Okay.
In another group that was ahead of us, but they were
okay.
the guides had to bring it down in like a wheelbarrow covered up, in a little wagon. But yeah, it happens. And I had done some 14,000 foot peaks in Colorado and places like that. And that was as high as I'd been.
Okay.
But, the Kilimanjaro is like over 19,000 feet. So that was hard. And it really started to hit me after 15,000 feet. I realized that was because I'd been up around 11, 12,000. You feel like the regular kind of, it's a super high ski hill, and you get the normal kind of shortness of breath.
Mm-hmm.
You pee a lot, you have trouble sleeping, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But at around 15,000 was when I really started to like headaches, nausea. I didn't really want to eat. But you have to eat to keep your strength up, and you're trying to force it down, and sleep deprived and that kind of thing, and plowing through it. And
Jesus,
that was hard. And the final ascent, we had to get up at like 11 o'clock at night. We started about 15,000 feet at our camp, and then took like 6 hours in the dark, zigzagging up the hill to the first ridge up around dawn, with our headlamps on and that kind of thing, and snow. And you get there and you figure you get to the first ridge. It's like, we're almost here. And you're still like an hour and a half away. But yeah, that one was hard.
God. Wow. All right. So next question. Would you rather see a lot of places or get to know one really well?
Well, 20 years ago, I would have said I wanted to see everywhere. I wanted to go to every country. And now it's kind of morphed into, I'm really traveling slower these days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't rush around as much. There's this need, and I think it's a mistake that a lot of young travelers make. It just, when I look back on that trip that I took out of college, and just going from country, spend a day in Portugal, and then we're going to go down, and then we're going to spend 2 days here, and then we're going to go. I didn't see anything. I was taking photos of churches. I didn't know what they were. It's like going to a museum I didn't care about, and just to say that we touched on this country.
Yeah.
And I think, and most seasoned travelers would tell you, and certainly professional ones, that to slow down and get to really know a place. And it's still hard I'm still curious. I want to see these places. But other than that, like a handful of bucket list places, I'll go anywhere once.
Mm-hmm.
But now I tend to come back to places I really like and give it more time, and just kind of not rush around so much. It's exhausting.
Yes.
To keep moving every few days and just packing and unpacking, making new plans, and just it wears you out, man. And I had a lot more energy a long time ago to do that, but now just like, let's just try this, stay in this region or this town and get to know it. And so I'm doing a little bit more of that. And I'm also just going, when you talked about traveling alone, I find a lot of my trips, even though I'm traveling alone lately, have been to meet up with friends. Like, I'll go see friends in London. I'll go see friends in Portugal. While I'm here, there's some stuff I want to see, but, I can do maybe a week on my own. And then I'm like, I'm ready to go see some friends. And if you're nearby, I'll come see you, which is dangerous because people will go out of politeness, hey, if you're ever in town, stop in. And it's like, and I got to warn them. It's like, hey, you say that, but I'm the guy that shows up.
Yes.
I'll be like 2 years later, hey, remember when you said stop by? I'm in town.
There you go.
So, yeah. So be careful of what you say around me because I'll show up.
Yes. All right. So last question of the list, and then we will go back to the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So last question. As a traveler, how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
3 words. Traveler. 3 words.
As a traveler, yes.
Okay. Curious, adventurous, and lucky.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Great. All right. So back to the tough one. What's been the weirdest thing you've seen while traveling?
My head is just reeling of things. The weirdest. I don't know. One person's weird is another person's. What would be the weirdest? I don't know. I saw a guy in African market with a short sleeve suit. I saw that was funny.
Nice.
Weirdest.
For example, like you probably saw a street fight break out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that happen.
I don't know if that's the weirdest.
That's not weird,
Maybe
but
not. Yeah, it's not that weird, but it is somewhat weird.
yeah. I've seen street fights break out. I've seen riots. Well, not a riot. Like I was in Vietnam. I was in Hanoi during when they won the Vietnam for the first time. They won like the Asian Cup, soccer thing.
Okay.
For the first time in, I don't know, 50 years or some kind of crazy thing. And the place just went mental, and everybody was out on the street on their motorbikes and waving flags. And I just went out there and I found myself standing in a car with some guy in an old Vietnamese war helmet, and we're waving Vietnamese flags. And I'm going, man, if you'd have told me this is something when I was growing up in the 70s, that I'd be in Vietnam waving a flag, standing in Hanoi.
And not getting shot.
Yeah. I wouldn't have believed you. Yeah, just a lot of crazy things under the water, nature-wise, because as a diver, I'm always fascinated by the ocean. You'll see stuff there that you just like, wow, look at that. That is amazing. Weirdest. Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, we'll move on, and I'm still going to think about it.
Okay. Oh, that's all right. Let's call it the open question for today.
Yeah.
If something comes to mind in half an hour, that's okay.
People say that they watch game shows at home and they think, oh, how do you not answer that? But when you're put on the spot, you really got to think like, oh, yeah, it's nerve-wracking. You never thought I would have studied improv, would you?
I've never had to answer the questions I ask, and I would probably suck at them.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad. I'm not judging.
Yeah, but I will say nothing really shocks me anymore. I mean, you see enough, and you're like, well, it's weird, but it's not crazy. I mean, it's not the weirdest thing I've seen. And now you're asking me what the weirdest thing I've seen is, and I can't think of it. I've seen a lot of weird shit, but yeah.
You can always go back to it, no problem. But
yeah, on the third episode.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Your listeners might. Like, this guy again? Enough.
Make him co-host while we're at it. All right, so we can switch gears and switch to music a little bit, if that's okay.
Okay.
Can you play any musical instruments?
I used to be able to, I first learned to play a trombone, and then I switched to drums. So, like in junior high, I was in the marching band and drums, and
okay.
I was never good at the drum set, the kit. I could do 3 limbs working in time, but the 4th I had a problem with. So I couldn't. I enjoyed it, but I'll still find myself drumming on tables, and I can't help not doing it.
So you've never been in a band in high school or something?
No. I always wanted to play guitar. I have one hanging on the wall over there with the thought of like, I'm going to learn. And then I realized it took like time and effort and discipline. And I was like, well, the hell with that. No, thank you. Can't I just pick it up and do it? Nope. You gotta. But I was never good with things that, like my fingers. I wasn't good with.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is probably why I went to the trombone, because it just slide this thing.
That's possible.
Yeah. Drums are pretty much it.
All right. So what would be your top 3 bands?
Well, yeah, the Beatles, of course. I don't know, Stones is too easy, I guess. But I like the Jam. I've always been a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, boy. Well, let's go with U2.
Okay. Beatles, U2, The Jam. All right. Okay. No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, okay.
That works. Absolutely. Do you remember the first song that absolutely blew your mind?
Song blew my mind. I thought like Time by Pink Floyd with the clocks and the stuff and the sound effects up front opening. I was like, wow, that's weird. That's pretty cool. Time, man. Yeah, probably that one. And things like Stairway to Heaven, because it went on forever and ever. And went all the different changes, and you couldn't get away from it.
All right. Okay, we'll switch gears a little bit back to sports, back to soccer or sports in general. What is your favorite sports movie?
Well, when I was a kid, the first Bad News Bears,
Mm-hmm.
the second one I don't even count. It was terrible. But the first one with Walter Matthau and stuff, because I was a perfect age for it. I was playing Little League. I lived for Little League, and it was just my life on screen. I just thought it was amazing. But my favorite ones, I guess Bull Durham would be up there,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great sports movie.
Yes.
I don't think Caddyshack would be a sports movie.
Yeah.
The Natural is good for what it is. It's more fantasy than it. But there's a lot of baseball. I got to get off baseball. Any football movies I really like? As a kid, I really liked North Dallas 40
I've never seen it.
because I thought that was really.
I read the book, but I've never seen the movie.
Oh, really? You should. Yeah, Nick Nolte
Yes.
is in it, and Mac Davis is. Yeah,
Does it hold up? Is it still good or?
I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. But I mean, of course, football's changed
Yes.
much more now. I mean, you can't do as many drugs, I think, as you could in the 70s. 70s, I mean, these guys were all coked out of their minds. And
Yes.
it was just nuts. But yeah, I remember liking that one as a kid a lot. Did you ever see Rollerball?
Oh yeah,
That didn't
with
hold up.
James Caan, the first one.
Yeah, James Caan.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to love that one as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a time capsule, because
Mhm.
as you say, it doesn't hold up at all,
I also used to love Victory
Victory, yes, with Stallone and Michael Caine, right?
and Pele.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. I guess I didn't ask you, what is your favorite sport? Is it soccer or something else? Baseball, maybe? Or
No, it is. I grew up playing everything.
Mhm.
And then eventually, physically you can't compete anymore.
Yeah.
There was a certain point where it's like, okay, by high school, I looked at the guys playing basketball and was like, well, nope, I can't, didn't grow that much. Same thing with football. I was like, nah, I'm not big enough or fast enough to play this game. So it ended up being just soccer and baseball toward the end. And now I've stopped watching most American sports, honestly. So I follow like world football really, and mostly the English Premier League. And also through traveling, I found that knowing soccer has helped me massively around the world.
Yes.
It's like, I think we talked about it maybe
Yep.
earlier. I was just the closest thing to a world language that I could strike up a conversation anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to watch games around the world. And so I just kind of got into it more and more.
I've made a few friends in Berlin because of that, thanks to that. So that's,
Have you seen games in Germany?
Oh yeah, my second favorite team is Hertha in Berlin, and I must have gone to 15 of their games.
Oh my gosh.
Since 2007.
Oh,
Every time I'm in Berlin and they play a home game, I go. It's non-negotiable. I go.
oh, that's great.
So yeah.
I've never seen a game in Germany. I've always wanted to. I've seen one in Sweden.
Okay, that's good. But you need to go to one at the Olympiastadion in Berlin. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes, you absolutely need to go. Okay, all right. So then we can go to the other end of the spectrum. What is your least favorite sports movie? The one that you remember hating?
Oh, there's so many bad ones. Well, I hate all the kids ones, like, oh, I forgot one of my favorite sports movies, Slapshot.
Oh, yes. Good shout.
That's great. Slapshot
Yes.
is the best.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, how could I forget Slapshot? I love that one. And that is aged, but it hasn't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Lately, yeah.
Come on.
But I mean, the fashions and everything else. I mean, you couldn't get away with that stuff anymore
That's
as
true.
well. But it's great. And it's got Paul Newman. So that's the best.
Yes.
And the Hanson brothers.
Yes. And there is something that I need to emphasize. You haven't lived until you've heard and seen Paul Newman curse in Quebec French. The dubbed version in Quebec is better than the original version. I will die on that hill.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It
I'll take your
is-
word for it.
Yeah, I mean, here in this province, honestly, if I start quoting Slapshot out of the blue, I can assure you that almost everyone will get it.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's required viewing in the schools in Canada.
Almost, yeah. And it's awesome.
Yeah, Slapshot was so great. The worst sports movie. Oh God, there's so many bad ones. I haven't really liked all those the kids ones, like Mighty Ducks.
Oh yeah,
3 or whatever, things like that. And every so often on an airplane, I'm stuck like, ooh, no, that's just so bad.
I would rather watch The Ceiling.
What? Give me one that you think of that what comes to mind, and maybe that'll spur me to think.
Really bad sports.
A bad one. See, it's hard to think of one.
Well, I mean, I tend to avoid movies that I know that I will hate, so that takes care of most of them. The Mighty Ducks movies are a good example. I've never seen a single second of them, and I never will. The sports movie that I hated. If I'm not enjoying myself, I'll just stop watching. So one that I hated, Jesus, that's.
Well, I remember the worst casting ever was I think it was Any Given Sunday. It was one where little tiny Al Pacino plays an NFL coach.
Yes, Any Given Sunday.
No, okay, yeah. Maybe a basketball coach like a Rick Pitino, that's kind of like, okay, I can picture him maybe a scrappy point guard as a younger man.
Yeah.
But there's no way, every U.S. football coach, every American football coach is a big dude who played the sport. Nick Nolte would be a great, you cast that guy. Gene Hackman, there's your coach.
Yeah, that's true.
Not little tiny 5'5" Al Pacino, little Italian guys from New York. They are not football players. I'm sorry. Joe Paterno was a close thing, and he actually played Joe Paterno in a movie, but he was probably the last one. And even Joe Paterno was a bigger guy than little tiny Pacino.
Lou Holtz,
yeah, he was a kind of nerdy guy.
Yeah. But that was ages ago, college football, so maybe that doesn't quite apply.
Yeah.
I didn't like that movie, though. Any Given Sunday, I didn't enjoy that movie. I thought it was
me neither, really.
Too far-fetched, like the guy on the bench reading the newspaper. Come on, that's horse shit.
Yeah, I know. Did you see for the hockey movie Goon? Did you see Goon?
Yes, the first one. The first one was good.
The first one. I didn't see any others. Yeah, I liked the first one.
Apparently the second one sucked, though, so I never...
Yeah, I'm sure.
Never bothered. The thing is, for a sports movie, it's difficult to avoid cliches.
It's rare when they lose at the end.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I liked the first...
Rocky.
Rocky. The first Rocky is good. The second one was okay. And all the others I could do without. But... the original Bad News Bears, they lost the big game at the end. And spoiler alert, sorry, on a 35-year-old movie. But that surprised me totally as a kid. I was like, wait, they didn't win? He slides into home and he's out. It was like, wait, out? What? And he still gives the kids beers at the end. It's go rewatch that. And Walter Matthau is a genius in that movie. He's so great. But they're swearing and drinking beers, and I'm just like, I wanted to be those kids so badly.
Nice. Okay, so next question would be, what is your earliest memory of a sports event? What is the first game you remember watching on TV? Because the next question will be something else.
I actually kind of remember this. One of my first, because I grew up around Chicago, and I had never seen a live hockey game, and I didn't play hockey. It just wasn't around where I grew up, so I didn't know much about it. But one of the first games, the first game I ever went to, I remembered it because Stan Mikita of the Blackhawks was on 499 goals. Like everybody was waiting for him.
Wow.
To score his 500th goal. And we're like, this is the night. He's going to get it. I don't know. God, I must have been like 7 or something. I don't know. Or younger, 5, 6. And he didn't get it. He got it like 2 nights later. And we were all disappointed when we walked out. But I just remember the old Chicago Stadium. And it was this loud place. And this organ. They had this giant pipe organ.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think they moved to the new stadium.
I think so, yeah.
And it was very famous organ, I guess. But the seats went straight up. Just those old arenas where the pitch of the seats were way too high, steep, and you just looked right down on the ice, and it was just very exciting and just loud. because baseball games were always outside, and just this was
Mhm.
just indoors and loud, and yeah, so that was probably one of the first big memories that I have.
Nice.
And then just watching games on television, like the baseball, like the big red machine in the 70s and that
Mhm.
kind of stuff I remember.
Nice.
And the Yankees winning in the late 70s and that kind of stuff, but Reggie Jackson and things like that. But growing up in Chicago in the 70s, we sucked at every single sport, everything.
That's
Like
true.
there was nobody good. Nobody good. And we didn't win anything until the 80s. So, yeah, it was rough. It was rough going there.
So I guess next question, what is your favorite? Well, actually, yeah, different question. What is your favorite or most memorable game that you saw in person?
Well, like that one, the one I mentioned in person.
Yeah.
I saw. Memorable game. Well, oh my gosh, probably some of the soccer games that I saw around the world.
Yeah.
I saw. I went to two Boca Juniors games in Buenos Aires, and one was I want to say like the Copa Libertadores, not a final, but it was a playoff, or something like that. That one was big. I saw. Oh my God, the baseball game in Tokyo was really good. Yeah, the game in Brazil was really cool. The baseball game in Tokyo, the soccer game in Besiktas in Turkey was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Yeah, things like those are the ones that jump to mind. But the first Premier League game I went to was pretty cool. It was at West Ham in the old Upton Park.
Yeah. You mentioned that,
and yeah, and that one was. It just kind of. I just remember getting wrapped up in the whole thing, and that kind of like gave my love to the league and really hooked me into it. And then I think we talked about last time watching the World Cup in Italy when I was there.
Yes.
And yeah, that one was. I wasn't at the game, but I was in this little village and watching a country shut down just to watch television was pretty cool.
Yeah. I hope I get the chance to do that on a future Euro or World Cup. I'd like to be there.
Yeah, I'm really sorry I didn't go to the one in Germany. I think it was 2006. Was it?
Yes, yeah, I missed that one by a month, and I'm still mad at myself because I was in Spain in April and May, and then I came back, and then the World Cup started in Germany 1 month later.
Yeah, I was really just starting to get into it. And then I think, that would have been a great one to go to. And then 2010, I think that was South Africa.
Yes.
And that one was really tough. I was in South Africa about a month before the World Cup on a charity trip. And we went to this village and we brought all this equipment and we brought in a soccer coach for these locals in this township. But we got to tour the stadium in Cape Town.
Nice.
And I just remember seeing just the condition of, it wasn't finished.
Okay.
Here's the World Cup's going to start in a month. And it's like, but it wasn't just that. The roads weren't finished. The airport was a mess. I said, I don't think they're going to pull it off. I don't think it can happen. And somehow they did.
Yeah.
Somehow they did. But it's sad. I think that stadium is just sitting there empty now. No one's really using it.
Cape Town? I don't know. That's a good question.
It's this big, beautiful stadium. And you think of all the money wasted on these things, and it's just...
Same with the Olympics.
Yeah, and I think they're getting wise now.
Yes.
To the Olympics, and these cities are going, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for us. Brazil, they don't have a ton of money, and they built a stadium in Manaus in the middle of the jungle.
Yes.
The local team is like 5,000 a game, maybe, and they built this giant stadium, and what are you going to do with it? I don't know. You need trains more than you need.
Yes. Yeah. Hospitals.
You need a sewer system.
Yes.
Yeah. That kind of thing. So that's, it's a shame. And this Qatar one, I don't want to go to that.
No. Yeah. I'm not going.
Who does?
Definitely not going.
What are they going to do with those stadiums?
That's a good question.
The Qatari League is going to have these, giant new stadiums in the middle of the desert. And yeah, it's so bad.
They're going to buy Messi for 500 million.
God.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, you just look at them. But as much as I like it, and you see these recent protests in Manchester United over the ownership and
Arsenal, yes.
I remember I was sitting there talking to the girl next to me. She saw the protest. Was just like, oh my gosh, don't they have anything better to be angry about? And it's like, yes, they do, but this is what they've chosen. It's just like,
Yeah.
of all the things, she goes, this is what they are angry about. But yeah.
I mean, they over there, they have a stronger relationship with the club than we do here. Like over there, cheering for one team it's a family thing, almost.
Oh no, I know there's more, and that's what I had to tell her. I said, look,
Yes.
there's more into it than just the team.
Yes.
I mean, this is about globalization. It's about like capitalism, and they're getting hit in the face with it. These are people that have lost jobs to globalization, and we all have. And you see it here. It's like, yes, they're angry about this, but there's deep underlying stuff of like they're angry about a lot.
Yeah. And, they've known their team in a certain way for generations, like, 80 years. And then over the past 10 years, that team, they don't recognize the team anymore. And the team doesn't care about them anymore either, because they can get the money elsewhere. Yeah. They're getting the money from TV rights, So they don't give a shit about Joe Blow who works as a plumber. They don't give a shit that he couldn't afford the season tickets anymore,
Yeah. I almost saw the kind of likenesses when the Beatles was really exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd see the old clips of the girls at local Liverpool gals crying and just like, they were our band. And now they're the world belongs to the world. It's like, yeah, people kind of liked what they got. And so now they're not yours anymore. And I think like these leagues and these teams are just kind of running into that. And just like, there's a billion Chinese who love your team, and it's tough. They're a world brand.
And they have plenty of money.
Yeah, and it's a tough thing, and they got too successful and too popular. It's hard to keep things to yourself.
Yeah,
it is, and sometimes it's hard. And I know your family supported this one team, but now my nephew's a Chelsea fan and he lives in Florida. I'll follow Spurs and I'm in California. It just like that never happened before. I didn't even know growing up that the league existed.
That's true.
So yeah, it was easy to keep it under your hat. So it's hard. It's, I'm almost would want to like follow just a little local team. If you're in London and just going, you know what, I'm going to go to like Forest Green Rovers and I can afford a ticket. I can bring the family. You can have a beer and there be yours again. You have your own. Get your friends together and start a new tradition. Because
I think many people will do that.
I mean, this Super League thing, I think it's going to happen in
a different form, maybe a few years from now. Now.
It was easy for the English teams to pull out because their league is so successful.
Yeah.
But again, when you look at Barcelona and Real Madrid, their league's in trouble, man.
Yeah, they need that money, and that's why they are still in.
They need it. Yeah.
As far as I know, I think only 3 teams are still in, Juventus and Real Madrid and Barcelona, because they need it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they are screwed.
Yeah, those Italian and Spanish leagues, those teams, they need something to survive. I mean, the money's not there. I mean, the Premier League seems like it's going to be fine. So they have the luxury of pulling out and just doing, okay, we won't do it. But they kind of left the other ones hanging.
Yeah.
And they released it in a very terrible way. I mean,
oh yeah, like on a Sunday night without any, any warning.
Yeah, they did it all wrong.
It was a amateur night. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we can switch back to movies now with a few more rapid fire questions, if that's okay.
All right.
Okay. Same type of question. What is your favorite music movie?
Music, like documentary or fictional?
Could be anything. Could be like fiction, could be a concert movie, could be musical, could be whatever.
Oh my God. I will watch any rock documentary. And during lockdown, I think I've watched them all. But actually one of my favorites is the first band I ever saw. Did you ask me that? The first concert I ever went to?
Not yet. It's on my list.
But you know it? It's on my list? Okay. Well, I'll let you guess it. I probably said it on La Rock Salad before. And I'll give you the year.
Okay.
82.
Okay.
New album. It was probably the height of this band's success. Well, the era where they were the most popular, those few years. And if I give you where they're from, it'll give it away.
It's not Rush, is it?
Yes.
Oh, nice. All right, cool.
See, Canadian. You guys all
Yes.
stick together. Yeah, it was that was the first concert I went to.
Okay.
But the Rush documentary, Beyond the Lighted Stage, that's a great documentary.
Yes.
Music movies. There's so many good ones. I do love Almost Famous.
Yeah.
That's a great one. That's one of my favorite movies. I mean, I'll watch that one whenever. The George Harrison documentary that Scorsese did, I really liked. Living in the Material World.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Is really good. Okay. It's like a 2-part one, but it was really good. Yeah, God, there's so many. So many. The Decline of Western Civilization. Spinal Tap, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Spinal Tap, that's one of the best.
About the Rush documentary, actually, on the previous episode with Kevin Hartbarger, we talked about it a little bit. Kevin was a little bit disappointed, and I understand why, because there were 2 things that I was like so about. It was the part where Neil Peart meets some kind of a drumming guru. I forgot the name.
That guy. That was unneeded, I think.
Yeah. And I would have liked to really know what happened with the first drummer, John Rotsey, because they kind of...
they brushed over it a little bit.
Yes.
You know, they kind of, they say I like the way Alex said, we just had different musical opinions. He wanted to be like a rock drummer, like they always use Bad Company as a reference of what they didn't want to be, which is basically just blues, guitar rock, basically is what it is. And they were like, progressive kind of, they liked Yes and Genesis and all the weird stuff. And that I can see, but I think it was just a matter of that probably they just outgrew one another from high school. You know what I mean? I mean, they were so young.
Yeah.
But then they had this, like, the one clip of some ex-road manager saying, well, he had diabetes and I had to do the dirty work. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? Where did he come from? And just, There's a bit of I'm not going to say mystery, but it's like you get the impression that you didn't get the whole story on that, Yeah. And then they just cut to Geddy Lee going, well, we needed a new drummer. Let's put it at that. Yeah. Well, okay. I guess we did. We put it at that. But yeah, that was they kind of brushed over that.
But it was still good.
It didn't. I never heard of there being some kind of really, devious kind of reasons. But I mean, who knows?
Probably, yeah.
They were all like 19, 20 years old, and maybe they made the right decision. Apparently so.
For sure.
It worked out.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So again, the other end of the spectrum. What is your least favorite music movie?
Oh, least favorite. You know what? I've been getting burned on so many of these Amazon documentaries that are just cheaply done. Oh my God. They will buy anything and put it on, and you get sucked in. Mm-hmm. And this is how you know. First of all, if you've turned it on and you realize in the first 5 minutes, the band is not in it. No one from the band is in it. They couldn't get anybody.
Yeah.
And the second thing is if they don't have the rights to the music. That's a bad sign too.
Yeah. That's a giveaway.
And you realize in the background music, wait, they're talking about a song. It's like they can't even play the song that they're talking about. They couldn't get rights to the music of the band that they're talking about. That's like, okay, this is going to suck. Yes. This is going to be hearsay. I remember I watched one for The Replacements that's on Amazon, and you realize they're just like talking to people who were fans back in Minneapolis and some guy who owned a record store, and just like, who are any of these people? And it's like I could get a group, a bunch of people together of fans and say, hey, what do you remember seeing them back in the 80s? Yeah, they used to come in the record store all the time. And it's like, I'm learning nothing here. This is terrible. It's just some hearsay from people who are hangers on, and just, I don't know. Those kind of piss me off. And I've been running into too many of those. There was a Beatles one that was just, they found some footage, and there's a reason you didn't see it, because it's just boring. It's just like old photos, and they're just, oh God. Yeah, that's, you got to be selective of what you, now I've been pretty trained to spot them in the first 5 minutes of going, okay, this is going to suck. And it always does. There's a million Zappa ones out there too. And it's like, they all can't be good. They all can't be good. There's probably one good Zappa one, and there's 10 things, and Zeppelin too. Oh my God, there's a million Led Zeppelin ones. And I don't know, I mean, has there ever been a really good authorized Zeppelin biopic, like a documentary?
Oh, that's a good question, because there was one about Zappa recently, I think, about Zappa that's good, but Zeppelin, that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I liked It Might Get Loud, the guitar one.
Yes.
With Jimmy Page and and the Edge and Jack White. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I love the Muscle Shoals documentary and those. And Pat showed me one, Bang, the Burt Burns story, which is not really on Amazon, but that one was really interesting. And that's always cool to learn about somebody that you never even knew who the hell they were and how instrumental they were. Like, oh my God, this guy was amazing.
That's true.
Guy wrote Twist and Shout. Twist and Shout.
Yeah, that's,
my God.
That's a pretty good thing to put on your resume.
Yeah. If he had just done that one thing and died, people are like, that's enough.
A legend. Yeah.
You won. You won.
Exactly.
But a really interesting guy. So anyway, get a chance to see it. Bang, the Burt Burns story. It was pretty interesting.
All right. Okay, so next question would be, what is your favorite book related to music?
Well, I've read probably Please Kill Me, the punk oral history by Legs McNeil and I think Gillian McCain. I've read that one. That one's always by the bedside. I have. And I got the 25th anniversary. We're celebrating the 25th anniversary of it in LA a few years ago, and I got a signed copy from that one. That was pretty good.
Nice.
And so it's all about the punk scene in New York from like 68 on, and it's really great. But it's really eye-opening that you realize all these people that you looked up to. It's like, God, these guys are so cool. It was like they were all junkies. They were all just like nodding off and copying. Like, oh my God. So all these bands from the Ramones to Television to all this stuff, and they talk about that scene growing. But I've read a ton of biographies because an autobiography. Pat gives them to me.
Okay.
My God, I've read a ton of them. Sammy Hagar's book was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Rod Stewart's was fun because they have anybody has a sense of humor about themselves. It's great.
True.
Whereas like others you'd think that would be great aren't. Like Keith Richards was kind of dry. It was just kind of like, it was good, but you wanted more, fun to it. And it wasn't. He remembered a lot more detail than he needed. And Pete Townsend's was kind of like serious. Pete Townsend was just, I don't know. He talks about all the stuff he did, and he did a lot, but it wasn't, he doesn't seem to have fun with it. Doesn't seem to have a good sense of humor about himself at all.
Yeah, I think it was Murray who said the guy just hates fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Much.
Which you don't want. Whereas like, Sammy Hagar was all about fun. He's like, woo, yeah. And Rod Stewart would have a whole chapter devoted to his hair. He's like, okay, let's talk about it. It's a big deal. And he addresses all the rumors about his life, and he talks about all of it. And like that one rumor said he was, people always said that he could have been a professional football player or a soccer player. And he said, look, the story is I was 18. Some local club where he grew up, called him out for a tryout one Saturday. And him and 100 other guys came and kicked the ball around for a few hours, and he left, and they never heard from him again. So if that's almost being a pro, then yeah, I guess. But that's how far it went.
Okay.
I was pretty good as a youngster, but I never signed with anybody. So he did. He talked about all of it.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that one I liked, and they led such amazing lives. I mean, he was to be in swinging London in the 60s. And just what a time and a place to be where everything was happening. It was pretty cool.
True. Next question would be, what was your first concert?
That was Rush.
Oh,
that was the one we did.
Jeez, okay, there you go. That was the question that I mentioned. Oh, it's on.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Jesus. Okay, so.
Yeah, that was the Signals tour. And I think it was 82, 83, I guess it would be. I remember my first 4.
Okay.
Concerts. So it went, it was Rush, Genesis, Springsteen, and Prince. So I saw the Born to Run tour and the Purple Rain tour.
Wow.
So it's like all around 82 to 84.
You should have stopped going afterwards. You were batting 1,000.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jesus, that's a hell of a way to to start.
Those were big ones. Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay, so I guess maybe one of them is the answer to the next question. What is your favorite or most memorable concert you went to?
Well, one of my favorites, oddly, I mean, is one of the smallest ones I've ever went to. I remember I went to in upstate New York in Woodstock. Lee Von Helm had a barn behind his house. It was a barn / studio that had burned down once. And so to rebuild it, he was having not free concerts, you have these benefit concerts to kind of rebuild the studio and everything. And then they continued these concerts when they were in town. When he was in town, him and his band, they called the Midnight Ramble. And there was could fit like about 200 people into this barn / studio on 2 levels. And my friend who passed away last year, my friend John, who was Pat and I's roommate back in Chicago a long time ago, he lived up there. And he said, I know a guy who does the catering, because these tickets were hard to get. And I happened to be visiting once, and he got me in to the Midnight Ramble. He said he couldn't come with me. He's like, we can only get one guy in, but so I'll let you go because I've seen it. And I went in there, and it was this cold night, and like 200 of us crammed into this little barn. And Lee Von Helm and Steve Earle opened the show. He usually had somebody come out and do an opening set, and Steve Earle was there that night, and he played. Then Lee Von's band came out, and they played these songs from the band, and then Steve Earle joined, and it was just a really, really cool night. And that was one of those nights that I look back on and I was like, that was pretty cool. And that was one of those that, I don't know, it just felt cooler just because it was so hard to, it was so unique and so hard to do. And I never would have expected it. Not that I was this gigantic, I liked the band and or this huge Lee Von Helm person, but it was just very intimate and kind of just really awesome. So I just remember that as like one of my top, people ask me one of my top concert experiences, even though I've seen all these huge people, that was one of them. And also seeing Prince when he did like 21 shows at the Forum, at the LA Forum, because they were going to tear it down and some church was using it at the time. And this is probably about 10 years ago. So to raise money for the church, he did like 21 shows in a month and they were all like $50 or something, the same set price. And he just played for hours. And that one was really cool.
Wow.
And the other one, now that I remember, was Dave Grohl's birthday party. And I want to think it was the 50th probably, because he did a show at the Forum and he announced it like 2 days earlier. This has been about 5 years ago. And Murray and I went. And again, another thing was all tickets were $50, the entire, and somehow we got tickets. And we went, and Dave Grohl comes out and I said, I bet you think this is going to be a Foo Fighters show? Nope. we're going to play songs, but I got some of my friends are going to come up, celebrate my birthday, and one after another. So they played a couple songs. And then for our first guest, Paul Stanley comes out, does 3 songs. Then Foo Fighters come back. Next guest, Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper comes out, plays like 18 and School's Out. And then he leaves and they play a few songs. And then it went on all night like that. Like,
wow.
Tenacious D came out. Slash came out.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. Lemmy. And yeah, all these guys all night long. And it went on for like 3 hours. And the big headliner for the night was David Lee Roth came out. And I remember it was about 6 months before Lemmy died or something because he was looking really thin and weak. So, they sang some like Chuck Berry cover or something at the end. But that was a great night. And I remember we're looking at each other like, I don't, other than LA, I don't know where you're going to see a show like this.
That's true.
And people just stopping in. And that one was really cool. That was really fun.
Nice.
Oh, and Perry Farrell.
Oh, okay.
From Jane's Addiction came out and sang a Zeppelin song, if I recall. Yeah, somewhere online you could probably find the set list of that show. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty kick-ass list so far.
That's very memorable.
Yeah.
That one was really good.
Nice. Okay, so next question. What was the scariest concert, crowd, or, mosh pit or whatever you've ever been caught in?
The scariest?
Yeah.
Probably that Besiktas soccer game.
But for music, in a music concert.
Okay. At a music, I didn't see too many mosh pits. I never went to some really. Did I go to? I mean, I went to a couple punk shows back in Chicago, but I was never like that guy to go throw around. And as soon as that started, I just moved back away from the stage. I'm trying to think, did I ever get caught in one that was kind of a weird vibe? I went to a music festival in England, but it was more about, people were, I wasn't, but like everybody else was taking drugs. I was naive to this whole thing. And I was like, wow, a lot of people are dancing in circles and laying around. And I'm like, what? It wasn't violent. It was just like bodies everywhere. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm missing something here. I always get worried when they're pushing, up to the stage. I don't like standing room. I really don't like that. Another thing I've always been pretty good at is just removing myself. I can spot like vibe. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna move to the back. I'm gonna move away. But I never really found myself in the heat of it. So I guess I've been kind of lucky that way. But I can spot it. I know I've sat up in a seat and looked down on that on the pit and going, boy, I'm glad I'm not in there, and I have no desire to go down there.
Yeah, sounds good. Next question. Is there a band that turned you into a fan after you saw them live?
I don't know. For some reason, that jumped in was, I remember seeing Florence and the Machine open for someone at the Hollywood Bowl, and I was like, wow, she's really amazing. So she really impressed me.
All right. That works.
Yeah, okay. We'll say that one.
Yeah, sure. Next question. What is your most memorable or favorite brush with fame?
I think I told the George Harrison story at VH1 the last time.
Yes.
And yeah, George Harrison was there with Ravi Shankar, and I was just like a blubbering idiot in the hallway walking past, trying to poke my head in. And I just must have looked like just an idiot. But yeah, that was the only time I was really stumbled, because I've done since then so many celebrity interviews that I'm not really
starstruck.
Yeah, not really. But that one was big. Yeah. That one was big.
Okay, so then do you have one related to sports?
I would have loved to see Walter Payton, who was one of my heroes growing up, the running back for the Bears, but he passed away. Do I have one? I don't think I ever saw Jordan in person, despite being... No, I went to a game. Yeah, but it's not like you went there to watch him play. So it wasn't like seeing him in a restaurant.
Yeah, you didn't interact with him either, so yeah.
Yeah. I've had drinks with Charles Barkley. That was fun.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a good shout.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew from waiters, because I waited tables in Chicago in college, and it was a pretty well-known like steak and rib place. So we used to get a lot of athletes coming in. So I worked there a summer. So we got a lot of traveling teams that would come in. And
so how is he in person, Barkley?
Barkley was great.
Okay.
Because he was a big tipper, and everybody liked waiting on Charles. It was like, that's the guy you want. He liked to drink. He threw money around. He was a big gambler. Probably still is. He lives big. Charles lives big.
Okay.
But I remember waiting on Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant when they were rookies. That's how long it was.
Okay.
But not to speak ill of someone, but Scottie Pippens did not have a good reputation around waiters and bartenders.
Okay.
No Tippin' Pippin. That was what his nickname
Nice.
He was not. Yeah, it was not good. Not good. Jordan, I didn't hear too many bad things about, but he never came in. I never really got a chance to see him. I'm trying to think if I saw him even at a golf thing. I would have been pretty intimidated. But no, there weren't too many guys I was pretty in sports. Yeah, no, I can't think of one. But Jordan would have been, I think. That would have been pretty impressive.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, next question. What piece of music memorabilia would you like in your house?
Maybe a busted guitar from Pete Townsend or something. From an old Who
that works.
performance, like a half a guitar. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Some
Neil Peart drumsticks. That would be kind of fun. I don't know. Some old needles from Keith Richards. That'd be a nice display. I was never really that big of a memorabilia guy. I mean, I don't have much stuff. unless it really means some kind of like connection to me, I don't really have a ton of stuff unless I was there.
You never caught a guitar pick or?
No. Have I? No. But I mean, I used to get the T-shirt. I stopped getting the T-shirts after they were just piling up, and now I realize, now they're valuable.
Whoops!
But I wasn't going to hang on to a genuine born in the USA tank top from sleeveless shirt from '84 for the last 30 plus years. So yeah, I'm not a huge memorabilia guy. I do have some cool signed photos. Probably the most valuable thing I have is a photo. It's a Sex Pistols photo by Bob Gruen, the photographer Bob Gruen, that I got as a gift from an old girlfriend. But
nice.
It's signed, it's signed by him. So
okay,
it's probably the only thing of value. And my friend gave me a photographer she knew, gave her a Springsteen shot from some concert in the 70s at a college, I think so, and signed to her, really. So it's not signed to me. So I got a photo framed on the wall of an old black and white of a concert shot from Bruce, but and the E Street Band. The whole band's in there, Clarence Clemens and Steve Van Zandt, and everybody's in it.
Nice.
But it's signed to Becky. So,
I
don't know what's on my wall, but it's hard to read. You got to get close. So. Yeah.
You're good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can move on to the quick and quirky questions if you want. Well,
you got a ton of questions.
I do.
All right.
I do. Okay, question 1. Would you rather speak all languages or play all musical instruments?
Languages.
Yep.
As a traveler, that's a no-brainer.
Yep. Same. Exactly. All right, question 2. If you could get a ticket to any show or event, music, sports, whatever, or even something that didn't require a ticket, like if you wanted Joan of Arc being burned, if you wanted to see that live, what would you want a ticket to?
How did you pick Joan of Arc being burned? That's hilarious. When you think about something like that, you're going, just how horrible human beings are.
Oh, yeah.
That you could burn someone alive and people gathered around to watch and cheer.
Yeah.
Now, when you sit and think about the smell, the screaming, the horror of it, what a sick race of animals we are.
I mean, I forgot where I read that, but someone mentioned that we live in a sheen of civilization or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We are that close, to bashing each other's brains out with mallets.
Yeah, sticks. Yeah, we're a bunch of apes walking around upright.
Yes.
And I remember I was just in Romania a couple of years ago, and we went to the original Dracula's castle of Vlad the Impaler.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And do you know what it is to impale someone?
I mean, I cannot speak from experience, but it's probably not fun.
And pardon me, everyone, basically you take a giant spike and you shove it up someone's ass till it comes out their mouth.
Yes.
And if you do it right, they will be alive long enough hanging there to suffer more while this is happening.
Amazing.
And they die while, and the lower they slide down in gravity, and really stop to think. And this is what he used to do to
he did that
scare his enemies.
Thousands of people.
Thousands of people. And so when the army wanted to attack him, came in, they lined the streets with these people on spikes that were killed this way. Now, really think about what human beings... crucifying someone.
That's bad enough, yeah.
Oh my God. Nailing someone to a piece of wood. People are horrible. Horrible. So no, I wouldn't want a ticket to any of that stuff, but yeah. Or just like...
That was quite a tangent, but okay.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean when you brought that up, and think what people used to do for sport, throwing people to the lions.
Yes.
Gathering in a coliseum to watch people getting eaten by lions. It's horrendous. People are the worst. They're awful.
When it comes to destroying each other, I think mankind has no limit to its creativity.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What else can we do? Let's see.
Finding entertainment in someone being ripped to shreds by a lion.
I know.
What the
it's
fuck?
horrendous. or actual gladiators just killing each other right in front of them.
Yeah.
Just throw them out there, let them kill each other. And just, what?
As if war wasn't bad enough. Now you make a spectacle out of it, you know?
Not just war, but disease and everything.
Yes.
It's just like you could die from like a cut on your arm, and then it gets infected with gangrene, and you cut it. Just like life isn't difficult enough. You got to watch people. Life's pretty cheap. It was pretty cheap.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
God. Well, now I don't remember the question. What would I pay? I don't know. We'd go back in time.
Ticket show or any show or event, music or sports.
Would be great to go back to, like, in terms of music, like seeing the Beatles in either the Cavern Club in the early 60s or in Hamburg.
Yes.
Hamburg, when they were just kids and this turned loose and this crazy, they're all on speed and up all night and going to see hookers and, wearing leather and just playing for 8 hours a night or 12 hours a night or whatever it was.
The address of the club, one of the club was a Grosse Freiheit 36. I think I visited that.
Oh, really?
In Hamburg,
the Reeperbahn?
Yes.
I don't think I've been. I've only been to the Hamburg bus station. I haven't really been to.
It's nice.
The city. Is it?
Yeah.
It's a port city, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I have to get back to Germany at some point.
Yes.
There's too many places.
I will always approve going back to Germany.
Yeah, it's interesting how much it's. I don't know if I'd have told my grandfather that Germany was going to be more open and liberal place than here.
That's true.
In my lifetime, I don't think he would have believed me, but it all goes in cycles.
Yeah, and it can change really fast.
It can.
Like,
yes, it can.
You've probably seen old pictures of, Lebanon and Iraq and places like that. Girls in
Paris of the Middle East.
Skirts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And look at it now.
Now Beirut was hip, man. It used to be great. It was supposed to be really awesome in the 60s and stuff. But yeah. And Tehran as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You don't know. I tell people, it's like, history is a very changing thing. I don't know. I don't have any reason to believe that, if America is still like 100 years from now, it's going to be 50 states or.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or the borders the same. I don't have. Well, from what I've seen around the world, I have no reason to believe that. Why would I?
That's true.
When my parents were growing up, there were 48 states.
There you go.
Why not 55? Why not, or more likely 30? It might be too big to hold together now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's possible.
So the South never wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Texas won't shut up about it being, its own country, and they vote to secede every 20 years, and one day it'll succeed. So I don't. After just going through Europe from '89 when I first went to what it is now.
Oh yeah, Yugoslavia.
We talked about that last time a little bit, but there was a Yugoslavia, there was a Czechoslovakia, there was a Soviet Union.
There were two Germanys.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
There was no euro. Yeah.
And it's not even that long ago, So
no. Just in my lifetime, that was 30 years ago, 30-something years ago. And then I've been to all these places that when I was growing up you would be insane to go. I've been to Vietnam twice. I've been to Cuba.
That's true.
I've been to the Middle East. I've been, Argentina was under a military regime at the time. I've been back there a couple times, and history changes and borders change.
And it seems to be changing faster and faster. Like the Austro-Hungarian Empire lasted hundreds of years. I don't think we're going to see that anymore from anything.
Yeah, I know. How long can any empire? Why are there empires? We got one. Maybe ours will be the last. I don't know. They all end, though.
Yeah,
they all end. They all have ended.
Yeah, we can't really consider the British Empire as one anymore, I guess. Like the Commonwealth is more symbolic now,
Yeah, no, and then maybe that's what it'll be with us. I mean, we still have military bases or the U.S. in 80 plus countries or something, and just doesn't seem to be a sustainable business model. But I don't know.
Yeah,
and the Chinese just sit back and just buy everything.
Yeah.
With their billion people. But I don't know. It's just changing. It's just the numbers of humans. that just doesn't seem sustainable.
Yeah, that's another
I don't know how many are in Canada now.
38 million, I think.
Okay.
And I remember when I was a kid, it was like 25.
Yeah. When I was born, I looked it up. Like when I was born, I'm 53 now. So in 67, there was like just under 200 million in the US, like 198 or something.
Holy shit, it's
and
almost
now there's
double now.
330. Yeah.
Jesus.
And that's just in my lifetime. And I think there was about little over 3 billion people in the world. And now there's like 7.5.
That's double, yeah.
And that's just in my time, which means that, if I live long enough, if I live to 80, you'll probably see at this rate, 500 million people in the US and 10 billion people in the world.
Probably, yeah.
And it, it's, I don't know. I get too negative when but I don't know how that's good news for any of our quality of life.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I want somebody to give me a good, positive spin on it. But in terms of sheer numbers, I don't know how that's good for anything.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I know that North Americans, we are not exactly model citizens when it comes to reducing our
consumption.
Yeah.
And, if people take our cues on consumption, then it's really done for.
Yes.
Which is what they've, tried. For the last, whatever century, the people have tried to live like Americans, which has been a terrible thing for the planet.
It's true.
The problem is we make up, 5% of the world's population and use up, 25% of its resources.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, I used to tell people that after 9/11. It was like, well, they hate us for our freedoms. And I go, no, I don't find that. I find that, they tend to admire our freedoms and kind of envy us. And what they hate is what we do with them.
Mm-hmm.
And why it's just never enough.
Yeah.
We're the Gordon Geckos of the world, and they're giving us the Charlie Sheen speech.
Greed is good.
Yeah, and they're going, well, how much is enough? How many yachts can you water ski behind? How many cars do you need? How big do your houses have to be? How much food and water and energy and oil can you consume? Why do you have to wreck our country? And we say, because it's wreckable.
Yes, which is because we can.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which was... Michael Douglas's answer. So why do you have to wreck this company? He said, because it's wreckable. And that's it. We want it. So we're going to come in and take it.
That's interesting. In the French version, because that's the one I've seen first, he says, parce qu'elle est foutue, because it's fucked. Because it's beyond repair. That's what he says pretty much.
Oh, no, that's different.
Yeah, I realize that now. Holy shit.
We wreck it because we can and make more money off it. That's why we do it.
The English version is much better. I guess it would be difficult to translate.
How do you translate? Wreckable.
And it wouldn't work with the lip movement anymore.
It's almost like better to say, why do you have to wreck this company? Because I can, basically.
Awesome.
We have an advantage and we're going to take it.
Yeah.
And that's how kind of capitalism in a nutshell.
No, yeah, absolutely.
You have a weaker country. You have things we want, whether it's oil or minerals or, at the time, human labor, cheap human labor to build our stuff. And then we're going to take it.
Yeah.
And, that's unsustainable business model. Because there's never enough growth.
Yeah. You have to please the shareholders.
Yes. Every quarter, there's got to be growth. Got to be growth. And so it's never enough.
Yeah. Yeah, this is getting dark.
Now you're going to go back and watch that movie, aren't you?
Yeah.
Watch the English version.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I might have seen only parts of it in English over the years, but never all of it. And that part, the wreckable part, I never saw it.
Yeah.
I would have remembered. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
honestly.
And then I went back and, they did a Wall Street 2. And actually, one of the last press junkets I did, which is great, I went to France. Actually, went to Cannes.
Okay.
So I was in the only big movie I ever acted in was in the movie Traffic.
Yes.
With Michael Douglas.
Yes.
I had one scene with Michael Douglas. So that was like 2000. I think I shot that, or late 99 I shot that. So we did the junket in, say, like 2010. So it was like over 10 years later. And I'm sitting down with Michael Douglas, and then we're going to talk about Wall Street 2. And I said to him before we shot, I said, we've acted together before. And he said, what? And I said, yeah, I was in Traffic. And he looked at me for a minute. And he's older now. He's an old guy. But he looked at me and went, were you a DEA agent? And I went, yes. And he's like, oh, yeah, I remember you. It's like, oh, come on. You remember me from I worked one morning, actually, half a day on it, 10 years earlier. And he's like, yeah. So, but I think because he was a producer or something of the movie, and he fought to keep our scene in. But people don't know, I was in a scene where I'm like, he's the drug czar of America, and I'm a guy on the plane, and he's going, what are we going to do about Mexico? And blah, blah. And I, pipe in with an idea, and he's asking everybody, and he's telling, come on, I need this and this. And he fought to keep that scene in. I thought it was going to get cut out because it's such a long movie, because it's only the scene where his character is really kind of taking charge. And he wanted to leave it in.
Okay.
Because the rest of the movie, he's just getting all this crap dumped on him.
Yeah.
He's like a victim. So he wanted to keep that in. And then he fought. So he probably watched that scene a lot. And maybe he did remember me. Whatever it was, I thought that was the coolest thing. And he was super nice. But he said, I don't know if you saw Wall Street too, but it has Gordon Gekko getting out of jail. That's how it opens.
Mm-hmm.
And, but he just found it funny, or not really funny, but he would go and doing research. He would meet these young stockbrokers and people on Wall Street, and they would have Gordon Gekko's photo in their work, like a poster as like an inspiration or something. And it's like, and he used to say, I don't think you guys really saw the point of the,
yeah.
He was a criminal and he went to jail. This is not the guy you're supposed to emulate, really. It's like having the Tony Montana poster.
Yes.
It's like this. I think you got to choose your role models a little better here, fellas, because they just keep doing the same stuff,
Wasn't there a movie with Vin Diesel and Giovanni Ribisi, I think, called Boiler Room?
Boiler Room, yeah. It's kind of the same thing. That one's not bad.
They were quoting Wall Street back and forth, and, Yeah, that was okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. But they touched on it, how, he was like their idol.
Yes.
Like, oh, the guy who broke the law and did okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So, whenever like Wall Street people talk about Hollywood morals and stuff, I just laugh.
Yeah.
Because I knew a lot of those guys, and I still do. And, they can't really talk about morals. No. Because it's wreckable. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Go back and watch it.
I will for sure.
Good music in it.
Okay.
Every time I hear that Talking Heads, This Must Be the Place, home, it's where I want to be. It goes under the closing credits.
Okay. I'll look up for that.
And I think when he's decorating his penthouse.
Okay.
With Daryl Hannah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very 80s. Very 80s.
Sounds good. All right. So next question. What is, and we are switching gears big time, what is your favorite insect?
Insect?
Yeah.
An insect. Oh, man. I don't know. Do people have favorite insects?
I mean, everyone so far has given an answer.
Okay.
And we are at episode 18 or 19. So
yeah. Insect. You know what? I remember seeing a nature show where there's some insect in the rainforest that looks exactly like a stick. You ever see those? That is like a green thing that can disguise itself as a stick, and then it's pretty impressive. It's anything with like those kind of camouflage capabilities. I'll take the one that looks like a stick. How's that?
Okay.
Just because I can't think of any other one.
Good shout.
All right.
Now that you've given your answer, I can tell you what other people said. Many said bees.
Bees, okay.
Yes. Butterfly. Cicada.
Cicada.
Yeah. And
cicadas are so loud and annoying every 17 years.
Ladybug.
Oh, ladybug.
Yes.
Yeah. I almost thought of that.
Okay.
They're so little, like, friendly and pretty. They just kind of fly in and then they're gone and then they fly back. Bees. I wonder why cicadas. People love cicadas. They're really loud.
Steve-O said that. That was his answer.
Huh. They just like the idea of hibernating for 16, 17 years or whatever.
It was something about screaming into a tree, I think his answer was.
Okay. Sounds like a very Steve-O answer.
It does. All right. Okay, so next question. What scene from a movie scarred you for life?
Scene from a movie that scarred me for life. I don't know. The first thing that just jumped into my mind was Reservoir Dogs cutting the ear off the cop. That was a bad one. That was a bad one.
You don't see him do it.
You
but
don't
it's
see him
still
do it.
So effective.
Yeah.
No, yeah, good shout.
Just the thought of it. It just made you imagine it and just going, oh.
Yeah. And it works even better for that reason.
Yeah. Oof, yeah.
And also another good decision is you don't see the bank robbery.
Right.
They only talk about it, probably for budget reasons, but it still works so well.
And in Pulp Fiction, you never see what's in the suitcase.
Yes. Also that. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Probably that and was The Exorcist.
Yes. With the head spinning.
Yes. Still scary. It's still scary.
Yeah, for sure. A definite classic. Next question. What is the best nickname you've ever heard?
Of a person?
Yeah.
For me or for someone else?
Not necessarily anyone. Could be from high school or celebrities, whoever.
The best nickname. Wow. Well, that's a tough one. I knew a guy in college who they called him Clubber because he had a big penis.
Okay, that's a good answer.
How's that one?
Oh, yeah.
Clubber. And everybody would ask, why do they call him Clubber? I was like, well, this is the story.
Well, I guess someone must have known if it was true or not.
Yeah, I never saw it myself. Thank you very much. But
some things you don't need to double check for yourself.
No, I'm good. I'll take his word.
Yes.
Take anybody else's word, but it'd be a great story if he just made it up himself. That would be, I'd give him, I'd be more impressed with that. Like, dude.
All right. Okay, next question. What would you name your boat if you had one?
I like the one from there was a movie with Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, The Great Outdoors, and Dan Aykroyd's boat was called Suck My Wake, which I thought that was a pretty good. This big speedboat, and it was called Suck My Wake, and I was like, all right, I think Suck My Wake would be a good one.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. All right. So next question. Well, okay. So I'm pretty sure you have a good one for that. Where is the worst smelling place you've ever been?
A smelling place. Woo, boy. The worst smelling place could be. Well, I took I took a train in India, an overnight train, which, and I was in first class, and that didn't smell great.
Oh my God.
But I did
Jesus.
poke my head into second class in the coach area, and that was not good. But most of them would be toilet related.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably a porta potty at any music festival.
Okay.
It would probably be the worst smelling place I think I've ever been. Pick any music festival and go into the Porta John, and then that would be it.
Good shout. And I believe you.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
All right. Next question. What is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Read or seen this week? Well, it's a short week. Have or seen this week?
We could say that this month.
Well, this past weekend, I did my first stand-up gig in quite a while. Well, 14 months, actually, since the shutdown. So I did the Irvine Improv with Brian Regan and my friend Gary Brightwell. But to be inside in a club, maskless, on stage, and people seeing maskless faces indoors after 14 months was jarring at first, just like I hadn't been in a room inside with that many people in over a year. It's very weird and a little uneasy feeling at first. It was all kind of strange. And we're in the green room together and still, everybody had been vaccinated and everything else and backstage but still there's a thing in your mind. It's just still there.
Yeah.
It's like, should we be doing this? But the staff was in masks. But the people at the tables, once you sat at your table, you could take it off.
That was the thing that surprised me when you mentioned it, maskless.
Yeah, and they spaced the tables out.
Ah, okay.
And so it wasn't full capacity. It was only like half capacity.
Okay.
And so the people were spread out. And, some of the booths, every other booth may have been closed, And so it was interesting to see. And part of it was normal, but part of it wasn't. I don't know. It's just been so weird. But looking out and seeing all that, and people, I think the crowd was kind of nervous, and seeing a spaced out crowd, tables far apart with little small groups and 2 and 4 and everything else, and wait staff in masks and managers in masks, and me walking out, and even to bring the next act up. Should we shake hands? Should we fist bump? Should we not? I mean, I didn't know if we were going to use different microphones. There had been some of that but we didn't.
Okay.
I don't know. It's all very, very weird.
That's definitely an interesting thing to see.
Yeah.
So that's a great answer.
Yeah. So that was probably it.
All right. Okay, next question. Last one of that section. If you were given a 1-minute ad slot during the Super Bowl that you have to use, you cannot sell it, what would you fill it with?
Well, it's funny. I would try to, we were talking before this about people who have political podcasts I don't think I'd be political, but wouldn't there be like a minute of saying everything you always wanted to say? Like for every podcast or every kind of YouTube channel or something, you could get it all in 1 minute and save yourself the whole YouTube channel in just one shot. Or, reach that many people. I don't know. I'd want it to be positive or funny or both. Maybe both in a positive way to promote, I don't know, maybe either kindness or not polluting or something or it could be completely selfish and just promote my website and do like a minute of stand up to promote myself and then book myself around the country and hopefully sell some seats out.
That works.
And if I'm going to be selfish about it. Yeah, the one half of me is like, I want to save the world and give them a message of peace. And the other one's like, I want to plug my show at the Funny Bone in Shreveport, Louisiana, or I don't know, whatever.
All right.
See, that's the yin and yang of what.
Yes. Okay, let's see. If you could live in anyone's head for 15 minutes, a la being John Malkovich, okay, you can only spectate, not control them. Who would you choose, past or present?
Anyone's head.
Just to observe.
Just to observe. I think I would, boy, that's tough. Just to observe. So you're in their head.
Yep.
You can see what they see.
Not control them.
You can not control them, but just see it all happen.
And feel what they feel as well. I guess, yeah. Why not?
I don't know. I mean, my first thoughts would go to like a world leader, like a president or something, to see their moment of like, I don't know. It would be like Lincoln at the Gettysburg Address or something like that.
Not at the theater, I hope.
Yeah, not at the theater. I was like, this play is no good. What? God, that's a really, really hard question. I needed homework. I needed time to really think of stuff with this. But yeah, any historical figure, I guess, would be...
A popular answer was musicians, mostly. Paul McCartney came up a few times.
Yeah, something like that. Being Freddie Mercury at Live Aid would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
That would be good, right?
Absolutely.
That'd be kind of wild.
Absolutely.
Maybe Nelson Mandela when he took the presidency, when he first... Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. Yeah. God. There's so much, thousands upon thousands of years of history. How about Jesus? When he's giving the Sermon on the Mount. Maybe you have a good audience. I don't know. I wish I gave more definitive answers.
No, don't worry about it. Okay, so last question then.
Okay,
it's a bit of a cliche question, but if you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, from any era, who would it be? And at any age, like if you want an example I go back to often, if you want to have, Martin Scorsese during Taxi Driver, there you go. So who would it be? 3 people. And language is not an issue somehow.
Language is not an issue. Let's see. How about... Why don't we go with Buddha?
Okay.
And Winston Churchill?
That's a great shout. Honestly, it was one of my
Yeah,
my list.
I think he'd be an interesting guy.
Yeah.
And let's see. Who's another cool figure would be fascinated by? I think, let's go with a young Karl Marx. How about that?
Oh, wow. Okay. No,
That'd
that's...
be dinner conversation, wouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds
that'd be a
really
good round table like to moderate.
Yeah. I mean, you probably wouldn't have to say anything, just, watch them go. It could be pretty interesting.
Buddha, war, your thoughts. Go ahead.
Yes. Genocide, what do you think?
Genocide, Marx.
And what would be on the menu?
Well, Buddha, you probably have to have salad. He's probably not a meat eater, I'm guessing. But what would be on the menu? Thai food, just because I like it.
Yeah.
You know what?
That works.
Thai or Italian. You can't, that's always a rule. You can never go wrong. When I would ask people, like, what's your favorite food? And I would always have to preface it with and don't say Italian. Because that's like everybody's knee jerk.
Yeah.
Italian food. It's like, of course, yes, but would you say French?
I'm okay. This sounds like a sacrilege, but I'm not that big of a foodie.
Okay.
So
don't say poutine. Don't say it.
It is good though.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, drunk at 4 a.m, anything's good.
Also true.
Big plate of fries with gravy on it.
Cheese curds.
Yeah.
Perfect to soak up
healthy.
Healthy. Perfect to soak up the excess alcohol.
Yep. No, it does. It's perfect for that. But yeah, sober, I couldn't eat it. I don't think I could. It's too much. It's too much sober.
There are different types of poutine now, so maybe you could go
I know.
healthy. So
no, healthy. There's no healthy poutine.
Yeah, then it becomes something else.
Yeah,
so that's true.
For cruises, I had to have my Canada jokes, so I have you got poutine jokes, curling. Got to have that.
Yes,
they always work.
That works.
Yeah.
All right, that's the questions, Mike. Where can we find you online?
Well, my podcast is the Travel Tales Podcast. You can go traveltalespodcast.com. I'm Travel Tales Podcast on Instagram. FunnyMike.com is my comedy showbiz site. I'm Funny Mike on Twitter, although I don't go on Twitter that much anymore just because it started to depress me. So I kind of laid off it.
I don't blame you.
But Instagram I like, just because, as a traveler, it's a good place for photos.
Yeah.
It's much more visual, which I like.
That's true.
But yeah, the podcast is out there. I have a Dry Bar comedy special.
Mm-hmm.
You go to drybarcomedy.com and type in my name, and there's a special there you could watch if you want to see what I do on stage. As a 35-minute special. Might even be free at this point. And if it was anything, if they charge anything, it'd be $1. But that's $1 US, so you're Canadian fans.
Oh, I was waiting for that one.
What is that? $1.20 something now?
Now, yeah, it's about that. Most of the time, it varies between $1.20 and $1.25.
Yeah,
there are spikes, but it's been that way for like maybe 20 years, more or less.
There was a moment there. Remember that moment that it got higher?
Yeah, it was about 19 or maybe 2001, maybe, or 99, around that time.
Around the .com crash.
All right, so thank you very much for your time, Mike.
I hope you got enough. After 4 hours of me babbling on.
It was a pleasure to have you on, and I hope you had a nice time as well.
Yeah, no, it was great. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, so thank you, everyone, and we will talk again soon. Thanks.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.